Hello and welcome to Python No Math Day 2. So I'm hoping that day one in the series really kind of grounded you in and made you a little bit thirsty for what this journey will entail. And so as I mentioned at the end of day one, that we would be writing a real script on day two. All right, so today you don't need too much, right? We're going to use Notepad, which is a program that's already on your computer, unless you wanted to use something more specialty, such as like VS Code or Notepad++. Now, I can use any of those, any three of those, right? But primarily on my list of preferences is Notepad++, followed by VS Code or Windsurf, right? So right now, we're just going to use Notepad because it's built into your system. And you don't need anything too fancy. And also I'm gonna let you in a little secret. I'm a little bit of a tabaholic, so I don't really want to open up my Notepad plus plus because it'll be about a bajillion tabs on there, and stuff ranging from like years ago that I just don't want to close because I'm just like I might need it later. Yeah, that's the tech life though. So if that's you, don't feel ashamed. All right. So today, we're going to create a simple script that has a short message inside, and basically, you can use this to do anything. Right now, what we're doing is like the building blocks, right? So, it's important to know how to do some simple, basic things, and as we grow, we will be able to expand upon that and give it a more, expert level type of thing. So, you gotta crawl before you can walk, pretty much. And I don't know about you, but there have been times where sometimes I skip the foundational stuff, and you might be able to breeze by a little bit, but at some point you'll get caught, because you'll get stuck, is what I mean. You'll get stuck because you miss that foundational stuff. And a lot of times, one more point I just want to make, a lot of times, sometimes things can be overwhelming if you don't take the moment to break it down to its foundational aspects as well. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and open up Notepad. All right, so I'm going to go into my apps and I'm going to go ahead and open up Notepad, right? So if you're following along with me, this simple script here can be found on the link directly in the description. For my Gumroad, you'll be able to download this text file and be able to copy and paste without having to, type it yourself. So here is the simple text right here. I just want to break down a couple of things that may be new for you. And for others, it may be a refresher if you've attempted to uh, to try Python at some point and got frustrated, right? So right here, first in the code is this hashtag or number sign, right? And that there functions as a comment. So this comment is for us, right? This comment is for us. This is akin to like, let's say you have a carton of milk in your refrigerator and it's only enough for like one more bowl of cereal, and maybe you just want to alert your spouse that is only enough milk for one more bowl of cereal so that when they go out, they'll get another, gallon of milk. So you might put a sticky note on that carton of milk, right? It does not affect the milk. It's just there for you, right? It's not necessarily there for the milk per se, but it's there for you and your spouse to alert each other that we need some milk, right? So right here, this comment here, right, this number or hashtag symbol is a comment for you and not the computer, right? So the computer ignores this part of the code because it's commented out. And the good thing about commenting is, when you get into writing a lot of code, you might forget what your code's supposed to be doing. right? Sometimes, we're looking on the internet, we're searching for different things, and we might find something that could work, and we'll copy and paste it. And at the moment, we know exactly what that code does. But let some months, some weeks pass by, we worked on other codes, we might forget exactly what that code does. So that's what this comment here does, right? So we're on day two, and we're doing a simple text file creator. So we've commented here, ah, day two, simple text file creator. Okay, I hope you're with me. All right, so now you can see on the next line, create and write to a file. All right, and then that's another comment there. We just want to know that the line below this is the code that would allow us to create and write to a file. All right, now we have a command here with open, and then it has an open parentheses. So what it says is that open with the parentheses here basically is a built-in function of Python that either that sorry that opens or creates a file, right? So if this file already exists, it will open it. But if this file, the file name, sorry, is called my underscore note dot text. If it does not exist, then it will be created. So that's what open and the open close parentheses here would do. All right. And then my underscore note.txt, as I mentioned, is the file name, right? And then we have as a file, right? So open this text and in write mode as a file, put in these two things here. So file.write, and then we have file.write. So file.write, this is my first custom Python script. So to the file, write, this is my first custom Python script. And then on the next line, to the file, write, I'm learning Python without the pressure, right? And then what we want to do down here is a print function, right? Which basically means put this um, in our on our screen, right? So this particular line here is not going to write to the file, right? It's just going to put it in the terminal, okay? And so after you run the script, you're going to see this line here, note file created successfully, and that'll let us know that we have our script created without any issues. All right, now before we go ahead and save this and run it, what we want to do is I just want to discuss two things real quick. So right here, there's a W, and that W puts it in write mode. But there's another mode called append node, APPEND. And what that mode does, first of all, we change this W to an A. And what that would do is it would add content to the file that we're creating without deleting anything, right? Because let's say we made this file and we have these two lines, but then let's say I wanted to say this is my second custom Python script. Well, if I left this as W and I ran it, I would lose basically everything that's in here, and it would say this is my second custom Python script. It wouldn't say this is my first. But if I wanted it to say both, I would change this to A, and what it would do was add that line to the contents of the file without deleting what is already there. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. All right, so first, before we run this, we have to save it, right? And we have to save it so that it is recognized as a Python script. All right, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to do file, save as. All right, I'm going to put it on my desktop. I know this thing is a mess. All right, we're actually going to save this as, so the way we're going to save this so that it's functional is we need that .py at the end of it so that our system knows that it is a Python script. So because this is day two, let's give it a name that we can easily recognize. We're going to call it day two underscore script dot py. All right, and we had to save it as type all files, otherwise it would have defaulted to a txt. That's not what we want. We're go ahead, it's on my desktop. We're gonna go ahead and save it. All right, so now that is there. And in future videos, I will probably end up using either Notepad++ or um, Windsurf so that we can see more of the code lines, right? Because as our code begins to grow, I want to be able to say, oh, on line 25, we have an error, or on line 26, we're looking at such and such, all right? I just want it to be a little bit easier on the eyes and to follow. All right, so now, all right, so now that we have that saved, we're going to open up our command prompt. And so we're going to go ahead and change directory to the desktop. And now we're going to do the command Python day two underscore script dot py. And what this does, it says run this Python script with the file name day two underscore script dot py. We're going to press enter. You see that? Nope. File created successfully. Remember, that was what we wanted to print on the screen so that we know we were successful. All right. So let's go ahead and go to our desktop and we'll find that file. It was called my note underscore text. Remember? Let me just, so many windows. My note dot text. Okay. It's right there. So let's open it. I'm going to open it in Notepad. It opens the new tab. This is my first custom Python script. That's what we saw in the first line. And then I'm learning Python without the pressure. All right, look at that. Now, remember I mentioned earlier that if I change something here, right? This is my first custom Python script. Now let's say I put oops at the end of this, right? And then let's say I ran it again. And remember, this is what the file looks like. All right, this is my underscore note.txt. I just want to illustrate to you what I was saying earlier. So I'm going to run it again. It says it was created successfully. But look, this is my first custom Python script. Oops, right? I don't have the original information I had before because as I mentioned, we used W here, which basically tells it overwrite everything, right? So now if I wanted it to say that, right, and then let's copy this and let's fix this text a little bit better. Okay, and I wanted to say we did it. Right now, what we're gonna do, remember, we're gonna change this to a, which changed it to append. And now when I run it again, we have all three lines here. Why do we have all three lines? Because it did not erase what was there before, and instead it added. Right, so now we have, this is my first custom Python script. Oops, I'm learning Python without the pressure. And then we have it appended, it added the next three. This is my first custom Python script. I'm learning Python without the pressure. We did it. All right, so I'm really hoping that a lot of this was helpful for you. Um, as you saw on day one, we went through installing Python. We went through verifying that you've installed Python correctly, and we did that using the command line. Now, on day two today, we wrote our first actual script, right? Writing to a text file in both W and A mode, which is W write and A append to a text file. And in write mode, it was create or write, right? So if it was already created, that file was already there, it would just write to it. But if it wasn't, it would create it, right? And the way we kept all the information in there was using the append mode, all right? And also we learned how to run um, files from Python, just simply starting the command with Python, right? Now on day three, we are going to use another uh, function called input. All right, so stay tuned for that. Once again, thank you for joining me on day two of the Python No Math series. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. All right, bye bye.